Hello, Mexico News Daily readers. My name is Peter Davies. I'm the Chief Staff Writer at Mexico News Daily. I've been working for MND for about 8.5 years now.
Peter, how long have you been living here in Mexico?
I've been living in Mexico around 13 or 14 years, I think. I first came in 2011 to Mexico City and spent 8 or 9 years here before going to Mérida and living in Mérida for about 3 years or so.
Okay. One of the things that really puzzles me as a Mexican is why Mexico? Why come and live here?
I first came here as a traveler. I was doing a long trip through Latin America from southern Argentina and Chile all the way through South America and each of the countries of Central America, and I came to Mexico City eventually and decided I wanted to stay here a bit longer and get to know the city more, and then kind of at the beginning 1 month turned into another and kind of went on from there. I think when I first came to Mexico City I found the energy of the city really amazing, the street life, culture on the street, street food, all these kind of things really appealed to me when I first came here, and all these years later they still do.
You've been seeing Mexico, how it has been changing through the last couple of decades. You've seen political changes, you've seen social changes. How do you see these changes? How do you perceive them?
Well, just this week new data has come out on poverty, right? And they say that more than 13 million people were lifted out of poverty during the 6-year term of López Obrador, President López Obrador. So, I mean, that's obviously a positive. I think it's one of the other very positive changes, whether you agree with politics or not. Mexico, of course, has a female president for the first time now. So, I mean, that of course is a positive change. Not every country around the world can say they've had a female leader. I think they're two of the big changes. Personally, here in Mexico City, I think the city's changed in many ways for the better. It's become a more international city, I think, with more people from all around the world. Of course, I know there are positives and negatives around that, but I think it's a truly international city, and I think it's become even more so, talking about Mexico City in the last decade or so. So that's another positive change.
And talking about how it has become a more international city, have you ever feel some sort of discrimination or that it has been really challenging for you to be part of a Mexican community?
No complaints, nothing major. I mean, sometimes a snide comment in the street or something like that, but no, I've been welcomed by Mexicans and I've been working in Mexico for over a decade now. I worked as a high school teacher in Mexico City before working as a journalist. So, I mean, I felt very welcomed and had a very positive experience in Mexico and with Mexican people.
One of the things that I truly admire about the journalism that you do is that you try to give context. I see through the articles that you do a lot of effort in writing them. What has been like the most challenging thing, like being a foreigner and trying to do journalism in a country that isn't yours?
I try to be thorough and to fully understand the issues I'm writing about, which can be complex and difficult at times. My main aim is to be thorough and give our readers, the most relevant information and not be superficial in any kind of way and give that context so perhaps readers that are not so familiar with Mexico can increase their understanding of the country, which may be their adopted home in some cases. Some issues are very complex, as I said, like writing about legislative changes. You know, there's been a whole lot of reforms in recent years and some of those issues are complex, and so yeah, it takes a lot of work to get your head around some of the issues, and that's the only way you can really do that is by reading a lot, speaking to experts and ordinary Mexicans. So as an outsider, I think that's the best way to learn more about the country we live in.
And is there a particular article or piece that you're completely proud of and that you think that everyone should read?
Well, I was very proud of what I wrote about the master fraud, the corruption scandal during the final years of the story broke in 2017, I think. I was very proud of my reporting on that, and also I think at Mexico News Daily we reported very thoroughly on the two major earthquakes that there were in September 2017. One of them was, well, the epicenter was fairly close to Mexico City in Puebla. So they were my kind of early days writing for Mexico City, but I was very proud of my work. I think all the work we did on Mexico News Daily at that time was very, very good. More recently, let's just say this year, I'm very proud and happy with how a series of articles I wrote about the Mexico City Metro turned out. Also, in the last couple of years, since the ownership of Mexico News Daily changed, I've had the opportunity to conduct more interviews with important people, I guess you could say, in Mexican society, including earlier this year in Los Cabos, when Mexico News Daily hosted an event. I had the opportunity to interview a former presidential candidate, some current or very recent politicians. So the articles I wrote based on those interviews and others, I'm also very, very proud of.
And I know that there's a lot of prejudices and misconceptions about Mexico. And you as a journalist, I think that you have this very objective view of what Mexico really is. To someone who thinks that Mexico is only about tacos, drug dealers, and wild party, what would you say to them?
Well, I think Mexico is a very sophisticated and advanced country in many ways. It's what now the 12th or 13th largest economy in the world. So it's a huge country economically speaking. And obviously there's maybe a perception among some people that Mexico isn't very developed or advanced, but I mean, you only have to walk around certain areas of Mexico City and see that the middle class especially is growing, and people here in many ways many people, obviously there's a big divide between different classes of people, but many people I would say in Mexico live similarly to how people live in Canada or the United States or European countries, or I'm from Australia, so I think the economic clout is something that some people may not fully understand about Mexico.
Right. I know that you have decided to raise your family here in Mexico.
Well, my wife is obviously from Mexico City. I met her here, and our son, Agustin, who's 4 now, was born in Merida. So he's Mexican, or as he would probably tell you, he's Meridano first, from Merida, Yucateco. So why live here? Why not rush back to Australia? Well, one, I've lived here for a number of years. I'm working here now. My wife's from here. She has her family here. And so we're happy living here in Mexico. My son goes to school. We see the school that he goes to gives a good quality education to the students. My son loves Mexico City. He actually is only learning about the rest of the world, but he says that he would like to stay here forever. So maybe one day we'll live in Australia, but that's not in our plans currently anyway.